Bang! Needs Knives, I'm Jared, and today we are checking out 5 new pocket knives. Starting it off with a new Vosteed by Vedavco Designs, and this is the Leopard. Vedavco always names his knives after sharks. They always come, or at least the premium Vosteeds come in this nice hard case. It's a really nice little touch, to store if you need to ship or anything like that. It just protects the knife really well. They do come in 3 different versions, at least as far as right now goes. They tend to do more models in the future. This has an M390. I love this sheep's foot, beautiful sheep's foot. It clips down, then clips down again, and then you got the final clip to the point or to the tip. The edge is, not the thinnest edge, but it's also not super thick. It's going to be, plenty slicey for most people, especially with the right edge angle. And because they gave you a good choil here, and they have the plunge grind way back here, you have plenty of room to lower back your edge angle and put a nice big bevel on it if that's what you prefer. Titanium handle with this with this locking system, which is basically a compression lock like Spyderco's with a button attached. I think they call it the top liner lock, which allows it to have a phenomenal detent and action. So you have a strong lock, a reliable lock, a fidget friendly lock, basically like the best of everything for knife guys. It gets your hands out of the way to close the knife or open it, because you can also open it with the button. It allows to have a great detent. It allows you to easily access the locking system and get it closed very smooth. It basically just drops, well, it does just drop like a guillotine. We have a titanium mill pocket clip, only one hardware, one screw and one standoff back there, which is cool. You got the gold and the gold, or the bronze and the bronze. Lots of milling on the inside. It does have sets of liners on the inside to add a little bit more stability. Well, it has to on one side because of the locking system, but they did put it on both sides, it appears. Either way, the bearings need steel to roll on. This is a narrow knife back here, so, depending on you and your preferences, sometimes thin knives, especially with a tall clip, can be not the most comfortable. This one's actually pretty good. The clip, they put this nice chamfer right there, so, in the hand, you don't have that hard corner, which is really nice. You can choke up if you need to. The button is placed really well. The hole deployment's placed really well. It feels, like a great little pocket knife. Not something you're going to probably hard use or anything, but as far as just a light duty EDC opening things up, this thing's going to be pretty awesome. I don't really have any negatives. The clip works just fine. Especially if I'm wearing my thick jeans right now and it works. So in that case, it's going to work in everybody's jeans. So yeah, very, very cool. Like I said, no complaints, man. They did a great job with that one. Next is a knife from Concept. This is the Superhawk. The Concept Superhawk comes in a few different options. I got basically like a reverse tux kind of. I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't call it that, but it's something like that. I guess the reverse tux would be the opposite way. But it has a black blade and a black clip and a black backspacer. They added the hardware as a bronze color, which does add a little pop. So it's got a 3-way combination color pattern. Some people might have preferred it to be, like the silver stud and then black hardware or something. I don't know. I don't think the bronze looks bad. The Superhawk is designed by Warhawk Knives. You can see their logo right there. And it is a big, heavy-duty, it feels like a hard-use knife for sure. This has S35 VN blade steel with a clip point or sheep's foot blade. It does have this swedge right there, helping the tip, get nice and thin, but also hold some stability. It is, it's slicey, like it'll slice just fine. Definitely will have no problem cutting through things, but it also has a tougher edge. It's more of a tougher built edge. Then we have this titanium frame lock with the orange peel. Now, if you don't know, the orange peel is a process done to these scales that makes the finish, or sorry, makes the, I guess the finish you could say, way more durable than otherwise. Like, it makes basically the scales like almost scratch proof, or at least scratch resistant. Let's say scratch resistant. So that's awesome. Like, these kind of knives, man, you can kind of bounce around, do whatever you want with, and you're really not going to see much wear. It does harden the surface. We do have a steel lock bar insert, beautiful engagement. I didn't spine whack the other one, but great access to the lock bar. Love that. I love when Concept considers that, because it's always a nice touch. And then we have the flipping action. We have jimping on the top and on the face. You can push button it. I think it likes a light switch a little bit more, or an in-between. Both of them are great, though. It does have a good detent, heavy blade. Nice sound, too. And then we have the thumb studs and fuller. You can actually get the fuller. You know, it's tight, but I can get to it pretty easily. Or you got the thumb studs for the thumb flick or reverse flick. All of the deployment methods are easy to get to, very functional, and they work great. Lefties, you'll probably be just fine with it, because the clip is so tall, or so long. Yeah, I can ease, like, this is where my finger kind of naturally wants to go. So, you know, no, the clip's not reversible, but, and speaking about the clip, we have a titanium mill pocket clip that looks great. This looks like it's going to function. Oh yeah, that's a good clip. That's a great clip. And even though it does land on this corner, or sorry, the cutoff of the lock bar, it does not, or at least for me right now, no issues at all. I find that's not even an issue. So normally I would say I'd prefer that on the inside, but in this case, it's just fine, because typically if it lands on top of it like that, it'll catch on your pants. The edges are, I guess, knocked down enough that maybe if it did, it would just slide up and around. But they are almost, they're not quite a hard corner, but anyways, doesn't matter. It works great. Ergos are phenomenal. This has amazing ergos. I got a really good grip on this guy, great balance. My only real negative, you know, is the sharp choil and plunge grind. I wish was better. I wish this had either a full choil, or they just started the edge right here and just knocked out like a half a moon right there, just to give me more room to sharpen, especially with something thicker behind the edge. Because when I sharpen it, the edge bevel will get much bigger, and I absolutely 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, will get a smile on this knife. A smile is just when your stone cuts into the plunge grind right here, and, you know, basically looks messy. And there's other issues that can arise in the future if you continue to sharpen like that, but, you know, it's not a deal breaker by any means. Lots of weight relieving. It is a heavy knife, though, because this is a beast. So there you go. Next is my new favorite JACKWOLF knife. JACKWOLF, man, when they come out with knives, man, they're always awesome. I love them all. So this is a company where it's very difficult to say what's your favorite, right? But there is a handful, like 4 knives that are like just completely my style, that I love and adore. And this is the brand new one, and this absolutely fits into that category. I love the size. I love the shape. I love everything. Everything about it. The geometry. This has a full, deep hollow ground Wharncliffe blade, and this is a real Wharncliffe, an absolute real Wharncliffe. The taper goes from the spine all the way down to the tip. Like I said, full hollow, so this thing is mega slicey. S90V, nice deep satin finish that plays with the light. I love that. Then we have an aluminum oxide blasted titanium bolster with the this titanium is a different titanium, by the way. This is not just a finish. I found that out. This crystallization is a process that they do with different titaniums. So we have, whoa, look at that, full backspacer, titanium mill pocket clip. The backspacer covers the entire back end of the knife, so you're very protected from anything hitting your edge or anything like that. And that, man, that finish, man, or the, sorry, not the finish, the iced out titanium looks amazing. You have a fuller here and a front flipper. They both work exceptionally well, like just so good. This actually, I don't even need the fuller, and I can reverse flick off this blade. The detent is just tuned really well, and the blade pokes out. And this is why I talk about, like, with his slip joints, I like a blade popping out a lot, so it's easy to grip it and rip it. This one being a locking knife, you know, you don't need to do it two hands, but it also works equally as well as far as deployment goes. But it does have a little nail nick that you can put your nail right in there and get, and it does work very well. Then you have, like I said, this front flipper. I usually prefer a little bit finer jimping, but this jimping works fine. I mean, it's obviously working great for me. And the ergos are amazing, like 8 out of 10. Yeah, for a knife this size, because it has this, you know, this effect where it goes from slimmer to thicker, exactly how I think a hand likes a knife. And this rounded area right there fits right in your palm really nice. You got a nice little spot for texture. You can choke all the way up to the edge. Pinch grips are going to be the most common grip most likely for you, and it's going to work extremely well, especially with this utilitarian blade shape. You can easily cut backwards and towards yourself. Basically, it's going to work in any grip for any purpose. And that's what I love about a Wharncliffe too. This can be pokey, but it's very good at utility cuts, and it basically traps materials because all you gotta do is cant your wrist and you're gonna keep that edge in the cut without it slipping out. And you have the same amount of pressure all the way across, all the way out to the tip, which some knives you don't. My one negative is the same negative I have for all the locking JACKWOLF knives, including this new Diamondback, and that is the lock bar access. I think this would have been a great case to, man, just knock out a half a moon right there. It would have matched the blade, right? You have the half a moon here, you got the half a moon here, you got circles here, just a little half a moon right there. It would have looked really good. It would have complemented this particular knife very well. Other than that, I'm very happy that he put a clip that has more access underneath it, because that was my other negative before, but now he's fixed that. And by the way, he does have a little replacement piece, so if you take out the clip and you do want to put it in a slip or something like that, you can. And he does have slips on, I believe he has some slips on his site. But what a badass knife, man. What an amazing piece. This is definitely one I enjoy very much from JACKWOLF. He has a lot of great knives, and I know a lot of people are like, it seems like it's the same thing over and over and over. And yeah, I would agree to some extent, but he's trying to hold this traditional value, which I do appreciate, but he does step out of the box still, and one like this just speaks to somebody like me. I love this. Let's get to the next one. Actually, before we get to the next one, I want to tell you guys about this flashlight I've been carrying a lot. And this is going to be really quick, but this is a light with a black light on it. So it has the UV light. So I have a regular light that I can go through all the modes if I want to, or I can go down here to this light right here, and I can change the modes for that. It'll also even go to a different light setting. Lots of modes with this guy, right? But what I love about it is this fluorescent light. One thing is you can find things very easily, like in your carpet or something like that, maybe on your shirt. You know, it's just really easy. And another little trick I want to show you guys really quick. If you ever, this is a trick to tell real diamonds, right, from fake diamonds. Let me turn this light off. So if you grab a fluorescent light and you put real diamonds under a fluorescent light, they will glow, and there's multiple different colors it could be. So if you notice, you see these ones are shining blue. See, that one's really bright. See, that's like glowing. These are all real. Some of them are going to glow less than others. In the real, like in my naked eye, I can see they're all glowing. Some are just less than others, but you can see how they're all like glowing blue, purple. And then you'll see, look at that yellow one right there. They'll be purple, blue, yellow, some of them even green. There's a lot of different colors, but you can see how they're glowing right there. Here's another one. This one's a little different, but you can see the blues popping out. And if you look on the side of each one, of the split diamonds. I believe there's, I don't know if it's a cubic zirconium or if it's just a lower quality diamond, but you'll see how there's some that are not glowing quite as much. Now, just because it doesn't glow doesn't necessarily mean it's not a diamond, because there are different grades glow different colors. But it's just a cool little thing that, you know, if you wanted to quickly identify a diamond and just at least tell if it's got a great chance of being real, that's one way. It'll glow, it'll have a fluorescent glow to it shining back at you. But this is an awesome little guy. It does have a magnet, so you can, you know, hang it to things. It has a clip, rechargeable, and yeah, just a really cool little light. Let's get to the next knife. Now, the next knife is another big one. We got a horse here. Now, I have another version of this model from, man, this thing is so snappy. They did a great job with these, man. This is a big, heavy knife, and it is the Arma XL. And the Arma XL is, look at how thick this is. Look at how thick that blade is. The lockup, nice and early. I mean, it's such a thick blade, so that's actually pretty heavy lockup. You know, if that was a thin blade, it'd be like 100%. But it is very early on a thick blade like this. The detent, listen to this thing. It is so loud. It's awesome. I freaking love it. You can really hear that thwack, and then the lock. I love it. All right, so we have M390 spear point, flat ground, thick as a brick knife. This is very thick geometry, so this would be considered a hard use knife. This is definitely a knife you can pry with. I'm not telling you to pry. If you break your knife, that's on you, but I'm saying this is a knife I would pry with. This is a knife I would have no problem stabbing into a stump and prying side to side. I'd have no problem popping things and prying things apart. The one thing you always got to worry about is the stress on the lock, you know, but if you're putting the tension purely on the blade, then it's not that big of a deal. Just try not to make sure it's going up and down towards the lock, even though this is a very solid knife. I have no flex whatsoever. Feels really good. Then we have great access. It's always going to have great access to the lock bar. When you have this thick of a blade, you're going to have good access, but they still cut it back, which, hey, man, if these guys can cut it back on a knife like this, come on, you can cut it back on other knives. Man, that action is just addicting. Very ergonomic. Beautiful micro milling, T8 hardware all the way around. Like the little spots of texturing, good jimping, very functional jimping. The clip does work for, you know, a big knife. It does have the cutouts on the outside, not the inside, but I haven't had an issue with any of my other ones. I mean, yeah, no, it's fine. It's a good clip. So all in all, man, this is a beast. A great choke up spot too, man. Very comfortable, great size. My one complaint is, you know, this is a thick edge. So if I want to lower back my edge angle, my bevel will be big. Much bigger than what's on it. What's on it is probably a 25, 30 degree edge bevel. It's the reason why it looks like a big bevel, but it's really not compared to what it will be after I sharpen it. So when I sharpen it, most likely it's going to cut back to about right there. Because it'll be a very low edge angle. I would want a nice big bevel on this. For something so thick and robust, I'd want it to have a brutally sharp edge. And that is one cool thing really quick about thick knives. Yes, it'll take a long time to achieve, meaning you will spend some time if you're wanting a very, and I'm talking about like the highest level of sharpness you can get on the knife, where you have a massive bevel, but it just is just nasty sharp. When you have a really thick geometry knife and you do that, my goodness, does it feel sharp, because the teeth are so big, you know, because the thickness of the edge and it being, you know, like it does. It not only will feel like some of the sharpest edges you've ever touched, it'll cut really well, you know, so on and so on, but still be nice and tough. But yeah, I don't really have many negatives aside from the plunge grind. I wish they would have just cut this all the way around and met it right there. And then, because they do have the plunge grind away from the edge a little bit, so you do have room to sharpen it once, maybe twice. You know, maybe even like 5 times, just depends on you and your edge angle. If you match the edge angle, you'll have a lot of life. But if you want to do my edge angle on there, like a 15-degree edge bevel, maybe even not, maybe like a 20-degree, because this thing's super thick. 15 will probably go up to like right there. Anyways, I'm just saying, it'd be cool to have all the room in the world to do whatever you want. Cool knife though, and like I said, not much negative there. It's a beast. It's not going to be for everybody. It's a heavy brick of a knife. Let's get to the next one, which is the last one, and the last one is this little copper guy, which I do have the titanium version of. This is the Cleo. You guys remember Cleo? If you were raised in the 90s, you're definitely going to remember Cleo. She was a what was it? A tarot card reader and basically a psychic.
Never had a reading from a real psychic. Try us right now for free. Your father had a stroke at a young age, did he not?
Right.
Did you get strep throat a great deal in your late teen years?
Yes, I did.
Okay. His eyes are almost spooky. They're so pretty.
That would be my ex-boyfriend.
The 5 of swords is next to him, and that means that he is away.
Yep.
Did you think Cleo wasn't going to see that?
Oh, I knew you were.
Oh,
you could call, and it was just a huge scam. The whole thing was a scam. But you could call her, and she was all over the TV. Like you'd see her, like every other commercial would be call Cleo, and people would call her, you know, and get, you know, their their future read. I don't know. I never called it, obviously, but everybody knew about it. We have copper scales on this guy, but no milling on the inside. That makes this heavy for a little knife. Typically, I would say that a knife this size is never going to be heavy, but when you add copper like this without adding any milling, typically these guys do mill it out, by the way. I have other knives that are solid copper from them. Maybe we should do a copper collection knife video. That'd be kind of cool, right? But anyways, without the milling, it's definitely heavy, but I like it though. I think it's a good size. It's definitely ass heavy, so it's not going to fall out of your hand, you know, like, you know, the blade is lighter than the handle. We do have a good looking sheep's foot blade in S90V, and it has a nice satin finish on it. Full satin. It is a flat grind, and then the copper is just like the machined copper, which I do appreciate. You know, maybe there's a little bit of a stone wash on there. Titanium mill pocket clip that is reversible, but it's stubby. So my issue with clips like this is they are horrible for thick pockets. There's just no bend. So let me try a regular pocket. My thick jeans have regular back pockets. Yeah, it's tight, man. It's a tight one. So one cool thing that you're not going to lose it. It's not going to fall out of your pocket, even if you're hanging from a tree. So if you're jumping around, you're doing crazy stuff, and you don't want your small little knife to fly out of your pocket, this will probably even stay in a jacket pocket or something like that. It might even work better that way. But, you know, just know the clip is not the smoothest. But great thumb stud action. You can reverse or thumb flick. It is compact. Like, this is a small knife. I can completely hide it right underneath my palm. Like, it is a small knife, but decent size to where you can easily still deploy it without it being like so small that you're fighting for the deployment. It still has a nice natural feel. And you also have the button. So if your hands aren't, you know, the best, you can just push the button and let the gravity take over. Let it lock in place. Rock solid lockup. No problems with the lockup at all. Very solid on this one, man. And then when you push the button, it just drops like a guillotine. Cool looking knife. My only negative is because the choil's good. You know, this is not going to be an ergonomic knife. This is a pinch grip knife for opening things up, but that's the majority of cutting. You know, aside from like food and, you know, construction and things like that, but as far as just like basic day-to-day EDC. So I would say that there's really no negatives aside from the clip. The clip is just not as smooth as I'd like. I'm not sure if the other clips would fit this, because they do have other clips you can get that'll be longer. Those might be the way to go, possibly. This finish definitely doesn't help underneath the clip, but it's more so not even because of the finish. It's just because of the tension. It's just very hard to get light tension on a short clip like this that's a milled titanium pocket clip. But anyways, there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Till next time. Peace.